things that have helped me be creative. They're just personal things that I don't normally talk about. But for example, the year that I won the Day01c Gold, which was, I think, the first one ever given for advertising. But the year I won it, I wasn't obsessed with advertising. I was obsessed with building a boat. And I was also doing my Yacht Masters exam at the same time. So every night I would go home and I'd work for hours studying, because I left school at 13. So I did basic arithmetic, but I didn't do logarithms and any of that sort of stuff that you need for navigation. So I had to learn all of that later in life, and I only came to needing to know it when I started to have a passion for sailing, and I needed to do that then for my navigation. So I was obsessed with that, and every weekend I would actually go and work on my boat, and I'd come back, my hands would be all cut and everything, and they'd heal up by the end of the week, and I'd be back out there the following weekend, back to it again. So that's what I was obsessed with. But at the same time, I won the highest achievement you can get in advertising at that time. And I noticed with my daughter, she would call me up sometimes, she would say, "Oh, Dad, da 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 da." She would tell me this thing, and I'll say, "Listen, you know what? You're overthinking this. You're thinking about it so hard. You're disappearing within yourself." And being a creative director, someone told me this very early in the piece. Being a creative director is actually easier in many ways than actually physically doing the work, because as a creative director, you walk in and you see it. You see the problem fresh. You haven't actually struggled through it. You haven't been down in the dirt, digging in the dirt to find it. So you come in. You look at it with fresh eyes and an open mind. And sometimes the idea, the bigger thought will come to you very quickly because of that. So it's just an observation. It's worked for me. Sometimes I know that sometimes. I do better because if I'm totally obsessed in the problem at hand, sometimes it's very hard to get to it. The more relaxed I am about it, the easier it kind of. I mean, you still have to go through the pain. I mean, I can't. There's no shortcut for that. I mean, there's a basic thing, I think, and if I tell you what it is, I'm sure you all recognise this. First of all, you get all the facts you can. Get all the facts, because your work isn't going to be any good unless it's relevant. So to be relevant, you need all the facts you can get. So you get all the facts, and then you're trying to assimilate those facts into an idea, and your mind is so full of stuff now, you can't really think that well, and there's a point when you kind of shut off, and you think you're actually taking a rest, but your mind is still working. And suddenly, out of nowhere, suddenly the idea comes to you. Because you think your mind's been on holiday, but it hasn't. It's simply been reorganizing these facts while you've been sleeping, or you've been in the shower, or you've been doing something else. And suddenly it's that eureka moment. And I think that's just the way it works. And I think, part of that is maybe sailing, or maybe the music, or maybe the dance, whatever. These are all good outlets that actually help you, I think, do better. Because I just think if you're too obsessed with it, I think you're going to find it harder to actually get to where you want to get to. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be very focused, but I think being obsessive is probably making your life more difficult. For me. It's just a personal thing. Maybe that works for you, maybe it doesn't. But I'm just handing you that off. Okay, so I think we could take a break. Let's take a 10-minute break. Anyway, great. It's really good to meet everybody. Fantastic. Great crew.